Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. Thanks for tuning in. Guys, I have got a major mess in this room. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got everything from new blanks that just came in over here. I've got rods I got to put away. My desks are filthy. I've got stuff laying all over from my boat down here. I've got a major mess in my tackle room right now. And it really is bugging me because I feel like every time I clean it up, it takes like 2 days and it's just a mess again. And this is all my stuff. A lot of times the boys are in here and I'm finding piles of Legos and I'm finding skirt making material and everything. But so one of the things I want to get done over the next couple of weeks is just to get all of this put away so that I can do a couple of things, because this is my off season. I realize a lot of you that are down south can be fishing still, but for me up here, this is my off season time. I've got usually the month of December to start getting stuff prepped for next season. That's everything from taking care of my boat and getting my tournament boat rigged and ready to roll. But more so than that, it's a good opportunity for me to go through my inventory to find out if there's things that I need to order, because this is the time of year to order stuff. You got a lot of sales going on. Tackle Warehouse has sales basically from Thanksgiving all the way through the rest of the holiday season. So you can get stuff for cheap. Generally, inventories are good. And because there isn't huge demand yet, because a lot of people aren't fishing, you can generally get the product that you want. So I try to order most of what I'm looking for during this time to save a few bucks and be able to get it. And if it is back ordered, generally speaking, I'll have it by the time the season starts or by the time I need it. So that's one thing I'll do. The other thing that I really like to do and what I want to make today's video on has to do with what I do from a maintenance standpoint. I kind of go through all of my tackle just to make sure that I've got it all in tip-top shape. So what that means is I'll do everything from going through all of my reels. Anything that I use this year, I will take completely apart. I will do a full cleaning on. Reels are going to last for a long period of time unless you get sand and grime and grit in there. That's the worst thing you can do, because that's going to throw everything off. So you want to make sure that you do clean your reels and you keep them lubricated. So I'll take them apart, and then at that point I'll just give them a good cleaning in terms of just wiping off anything. I don't use anything special. I'll just go ahead. Most of the reels that you use, when you open up the boxes, they will come with everything that you need. This is an MG Extreme I've got here, but they'll come with spare parts. As you can see here, they'll come with instructions, part numbers, so if you do have to order some new parts, you can find out what numbers are and order them real quick. I've got extra spools here, handles, everything I need. A lot of times they come with reel oil as well. So everything I need to clean my reels is generally going to be in the box, so I keep that stuff. A lot of times what I'll do is just take the components out and put them all in one spot so I don't have a pile of reel boxes. But I'll make sure I keep all of the different lubrications and things like that, the different little wrenches to allow you to get all the parts off. So that's one thing I'll do. Pretty basic. I might do a whole separate video on actual reel cleaning down the road and how I lubricate them, but I just want to make sure that the reels are in good tip-top shape. The next thing I'll do once I've got all my reels done is I go through my rods. And that's one thing I think a lot of people really overlook. Most people will be like, oh, I'm going to clean my rods and keep good maintenance on the reels, keep good maintenance on the reels. But when it comes to the rods are generally neglected. Now, this is one of the first rods I ever built. It's one of my favorites. This is the discontinued HM MB873. So it was a 7.3. It was kind of the rod before the NMB873. But you can see 6 years of usage really can wear and tear. My wind grips are pulling apart. I've got a little bit of chipping, a little bit of rust around the hook eye. So there's a bunch of things I'll do. The first is I'll take just a alcohol wipe and clean the rod off. I want to get all the grime and grit off. I want to be able to see what shape the rod is in. And if your rod is covered in just, it's just filthy, just based on use, whether that's water spots and stuff like that, I want to know what shape my rod's in. And I'm looking for a few things. I'm looking for any sort of scrapes or cracks in the blank, that could be something that could be a potential issue moving forward. If I do find a scrape that's real deep, there's not a whole lot I can do about that. But what I will generally not do is probably use that rod in a tournament situation. I'll still use it for fun fishing, for practicing, but the last thing I want is to set a hook on a big fish in a tournament and have my rod break. So if I find something like that, which is very rare, but it is something that I'm looking for, the next thing I'll do is I'll go through all of my guides, make sure the guides are in good shape. I'll take one of these cotton swabs, and I'll stick it in each guide. And like, see that? I just popped a guide out. See, that's a perfect example. I just popped a guide out, and this was probably one that I slid back in because I can see that it's light. But that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for anything like that. So this rod, I know I've already got to redo. But I'm putting the cotton swab in and I spin it. And what I'm looking for is any chip in the ceramic insert to catch on that cotton. If I find a chip, I've got to replace that guide. And that's one of the things that I'm looking for. So there's a bunch of different things. In some instances, some of my guides might get knocked out of shape and therefore they're not in a perfect alignment. So at that point, I will pull them out just like that one, whichever one that was. I'll pull them out, I'll cut off and redo the whole, that whole tie job just to make sure that they're in alignment. I'm looking for any other tips or guides that are loose. I'm just looking to redo my rod. I'm gonna bring it back to life. Like I said, this is one of my absolute favorite rods. It's a tournament rod for me. As you can tell, it's been through a lot of fish catches. You can buy like wind grip tape to put over the grips to redo them. I could potentially steam off the grips and try to replace them. I'm not going to do that. I'll probably just buy some wind grip tape, rewrap it. They'll be good to go. And you know, in case of some of this rust here, I'll clean that rust off, and then I'll just probably end up putting a fresh coat of epoxy over all the guides, because I know I'm going to be replacing a couple of these guides, and that'll bring it back looking to new. But don't neglect your rods. The rods are just as important as the reels. If you've got a chipped insert or a guide that comes out or a scrape on your rod, it's going to cost you lost fish. It's going to break your line. It's going to lead to you going through a lot of extra line, because most people don't realize it, but when you have line that is fraying regularly, it's probably because you have a chipped insert. And a lot of times you can't see them, but you will have a couple of filaments of the cotton swab catch on it when you go through each of those. So I go through every one of my rods in that manner. Once I've gone through the rods, at that point, then I start going through all of my boxes. You know, I've probably got, I'm going to say 40 different boxes that are like what I call game day boxes. They are ready to go from my boat to storage, and then from storage to the boat. They just are simple swap out boxes depending on what I'm doing. So if I'm going to a lake where I think I'm going to be using shallow running crankbaits, I put this box in. So I've got them all labeled. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through every one of my boxes, and I'm looking for a handful of things. I'm going to look to see if it's cracked. So in this case, this is one that cracked during the season, and instead of just replacing it right away because it was a simple crack, I put some tape over the top just to prevent water from getting in it. That worked fine to finish off the season, but in reality, I'm going to swap this box out, throw this box out, because I don't want that, and I'm pretty much swapping over to entirely waterproof boxes anyways. But that's something I'm looking for, is what condition is my case, is the actual case in? Is it a good enough shape? Does it need to be replaced? So once I've gone through those, then I go through like every bait. I literally pull all the baits out. I go through each one. First thing I'm doing is looking to see, do I need to replace hooks? Are they dirty? Do I have, you know, line on them? Like I see, this is a little Fritz side 5. You can see I was lazy. I just cut the line off, threw it in there with the line. So I'm going to trim the line off. I'm going to check the hooks. And then I again will use some form of wipe to clean it off. I really like the alcohol swabs. They work great. I'll use Mr. Clean, magic erasers. In some cases for rust, I'll use some of the Super Clean. This is something Years ago, I saw that Josh Douglas was promoting. I don't know if he was affiliated or not, but I bought a pile of that. That stuff works great. The point is, I go through every bait and make sure that everything is good. You know, if there's rust, I get rid of the rust. If there's need new split rings, I put them on. If I got to clean the baits up, I do that. So once I've gone through all the baits, then what I do, because I have them all out, is I kind of swap in and out baits that I want to use for the tournaments. You know, every year it seems like there's a handful of baits that don't cut it for me and a handful of new baits that I really like. So, you know, with these shallow runners, I might take out a handful of these and put in a handful of new ones or new colors that I like. It's just one of those things. It's a yearly change where I swap in, swap out some stuff based on what I want for the tournaments. And this gives me a really good time to do that. So the goal, once I've gone through all the boxes, is to be fully organized with everything that I know I need for my tournaments, to have equipment that is up to the level that I want it to be, meaning no rust, super sharp hooks, all in great condition, cleaned up, in good boxes that I'm looking for. I want my rod and reels working appropriately and up to, you know, the level of performance that I'm looking for. But this is a time of year that's, you know, you can take advantage of it. You get a lot of cold days. I'm looking outside and it's snowing right now. Weatherman said it was not supposed to snow, but it is very much snowing. And I'm not going to be outside in these conditions. We have like 25-mile-an-hour winds. It's a brutal day out. And this is a good opportunity for me to come down in the basement bait shop and get everything put away and organize for next season. Because I'll tell you what, if you don't do it, you're going to end up in your boat. You're going to be disorganized. You're going to end up having equipment that could fail on you. It's going to cost you fish. So take advantage of your downtime. Go ahead, do it. I mean, to be honest with you guys, when I'm going through this stuff or cleaning my reels, generally speaking, I'm sitting in front of the TV watching a football game or watching a movie, doing whatever. It's not like I'm just sitting down here going hardcore on these. I'll grab a box, sit down in front of the TV, do a box while I'm watching it, and, you know, move forward. So it's a long process. This is not like I sit down here and in one day I do it. It's like a several-month process for me, and that's what I'm getting ready to start. I've had a lot of you guys ask me what I do in terms of winter maintenance. That's my process. So maybe we'll do more detailed videos on some of these different steps, but I do think there's a lot of value in being prepared and ready to go so that when you catch or hook up with that 6-pound fish, you're going to be able to put them in the boat. So thanks for watching, guys. If there are other things that you guys do that you think are really good from a maintenance standpoint, please put that in the comment section so that everyone else can learn from you guys as well. And I may end up adapting some of your practices. So let us know if there's things that you use to clean baits, things that you use to clean reels, whatever it is that you think is good from a maintenance standpoint. Throw that up in the comment section. Otherwise, guys, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Hit that like button and stay tuned. We'll have a new video coming out tomorrow.